Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video, I like to discuss how Jeremy Hunt is a little bit worried ahead of tomorrow. But why, you may ask? This is Rachel Reeves in the hot seat. It's her first budget. Hunt gets to sit back, be a backseat driver, moaning about whatever he doesn't like in the budget, and claiming that absolutely everything would have been beer and Skittles if only he'd still been the chancellor. Well, remember the claim by Reeves that Jeremy Hunt concealed £22 billion worth of hole in the finances from everyone. Concealed it from the public, concealed it from Labour, of course. Very serious accusation. Hunt has denied it, of course. But the OBR are reporting on it tomorrow. So there might be more fireworks in this budget than originally thought. But first, for daily political commentary, please click the subscribe button so you don't miss out. So, fairly shortly after the election, Rachel Reeves, having been able to order a proper audit of the state of the country's finances, announced that the Tories had left a £22 billion black hole which they had kept from the public and Parliament. Note, this is in addition to the roughly £19 billion shortfall between what was being claimed was going to be raised from taxes and what was needed to cover day-to-day spending. This, the Tories waved that away by going, oh, we'll just cut some things. What are you going to cut? Well, we'll work it out later. This was known about. People confuse the two. They think it's the same thing because they're roughly the same size, but they're totally different things. This was known about. Economists were talking about this during the election. They were saying that both Labour and the Conservatives seemed a bit coy about talking about it in detail, right? But that was known about. Reeves claimed there was an additional £22 billion not known about, and that's net. The actual figure is actually over 30 billion, but it wiped out the reserve. You sort of say, right, we've got no reserve anymore. What's left? We've still got this £22 billion hole, right? Now, if true, this is insanely irresponsible of the Tories and Jeremy Hunt personally as Chancellor. If it became widely believed, that would pose a serious problem for the Conservatives trying to claim that they are the party of fiscal responsibility and economic competence. I mean, if this is true and could be proven, then the Conservatives would look pretty shabby. And you would think before they got themselves ready for power again, they would have to very explicitly completely disown the behaviour and everyone responsible. So you can understand why Hunt had to insist all through the summer that the claims were untrue. They were just political shenanigans. Rachel Reeves, oh, we always knew she was going to do. She was always going to claim that the state of the finances was even worse than she thought, so that she could raise her taxes on the rich, the little tinker. So really, what you would want, I mean, Labour are saying one thing, the Tories are saying another. Oh, how are we going to deal with this? What you want is an independent investigation to settle the matter, right? And the Office for Budgetary Responsibility have carried one out. When the claim was first made, the OBR had already been invited into the Treasury to look at a few things, and then they went, oh, and they wrote to Hunt, publicly, we saw the letter, to ask for an explanation. So he won't be able to claim he wasn't consulted over the investigation either. I mean, he might try it anyway, but it won't be true. Of course, if Hunt was telling the truth, then the report coming out tomorrow would exonerate him, wouldn't it? After all, the OBR, they're not exactly Labour patsies. The Office of Budgetary Responsibility was set up by the Conservative government, and the people running it, of course, appointed by the Conservative government. Basically, Hunt won't be able to accuse them of anti-Tory bias. That would be ridiculous. In fact, the last two Tories to even dismiss the OBR were Truss and Kwarteng. It didn't work out too well for them, right? But anyway, the report is coming out tomorrow. You would think Hunt is delighted at this. Aha! He'll be able to say at the dispatch box as he responds to Reeves's budget. I said you made the black hole story up. Now we've got proof. All these tax rises, you just lied about them. You're always going to do them, and you just tried to come up with an excuse, and you have been found out, you little rascal. Only Jeremy Hunt is trying to block the report. Now, I first saw reports of this at the weekend, but it's really intensified now. His latest move has been to write to Simon Case, the outgoing Cabinet Secretary, and argue that it shouldn't be released on the basis that Labour will use it as a political weapon. How can Labour use it as a political weapon? Labour have already made the claim about Hunt hiding a £22 billion black hole. In fact, they never shut up about it. I mean, don't get me wrong, Rachel Reeves, I I would expect to mention it in her budget statement tomorrow on more than one occasion. In fact, you could even run a sweepstake as to how many times she will mention it. But given that it would probably represent the 1,000th time she said it in public, it's not going to have that much power by now, is it? Sure, you know, if the OBR report says that there was no hidden black hole, that it was all just political shenanigans, as Hunt is claiming, she won't be able to say it at all. She'll be undermined by the report and made to look like a proper Charlie. Unless, of course, it was Hunt and not Reeves that's been lying about it. By trying to block the report, Hunt is essentially admitting that this report is going to say, yes, the black hole exists. Here's our detailed accounting of it. And that he did try to cover it up. Whether it is exactly £22 billion is neither here nor there. It might be a billion or so either way. After all, it doesn't really matter. 20 billion, 24 billion, doesn't matter, does it? A substantial hole in the finances kept hidden from the public is obviously true, as Reeves has stated it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be Hunt trying to block the report, it'd be Reeves. A report backing Hunt's version of events, that would be ruinous for Labour on a day that they're announcing their first all-important budget and trying to rescue the piss-poor narrative they've been building up to now. Now, Hunt is bang to rights here. I mean, let me have a little speculation about what I think could happen here. I suspect the report is going to say that roughly £22 billion of liabilities net was concealed with dodgy accounting. I think whatever Hunt tries to attack Reeves with over anything in the budget, even some nice, easy lines of attack, such as, you know, the winter fuel allowance or the cap on bus fares. Obviously, you could have a little bit of a whine about VAT on private schools again. Reeves can I mean, whether she will, I don't know. But she could just stand up and say something like, well, it's a shame I didn't have an extra £22 billion to play with, isn't it, Jeremy, old China? And then sit back down again. She can do that to anything. Yeah, didn't really want to cut that, but, you know, if only I had an extra £22 billion, we could do so much. What about it, Jeremy, eh? You would expect that a budget statement should actually be a big pressure moment for the Chancellor. An invitation to cart from the sidelines from the Shadow Chancellor, but what we may see tomorrow is Hunt being battered as if he was still in government. That's what I'm thinking. Because what other explanation is there for Hunt being the one to try so hard to get this report blocked? The Tories are trying to claim, oh, it's not the appropriate, we don't want it blocked, it's just not the appropriate time. It's a report on the state of the finances. The £22 billion black hole is a big justification for some of Labour's tax plans that are going to be announced tomorrow. Being published ahead of the budget is the only time for it. In fact, you would question what's going on if the report were not being published before the budget, wouldn't you? And now Hunt is claiming that the OBR have not acted in a politically impartial way in launching the investigation. Why not? Labour say the black hole exists. The Tories say it doesn't. Who is seriously going to suggest that the correct course of action is obviously to let them just keep arguing with each other, rather than get someone to independently investigate it? Basically, tomorrow's budget may be a little bit more entertaining than it has any right to be. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please click the like button and subscribe. And if you'd like to support the channel further, you can join for memberships. Thanks for watching. And until next time, I'll see you later.